Moviegoers have been blessed with two amazing movies recently, and of course, I'm talking about Superman and F1. That's why I got my nice sunny haze fit on right now. But you might be struggling on which one to pick to go see first. Well, I'm here to help by breaking down both movies into different categories to see which one you should go see at the theaters first. And just an alert, there will be spoilers. Let's break it down. Welcome back to a brand new episode of A Guy from South Dakota. My name's Evan. I'm a guy from South Dakota. Nice to see you. And if I haven't met you, nice to meet you. So you want to talk about movies, huh? Well, you came to the right place. I'm going to be doing a lot more movie talk, entertainment, TV, film, all that stuff. So if you want to stick around for it, make sure you subscribe to check out all other episodes. But today we are talking about Superman against F1. And I'm not just going to talk about, oh, I like this, I like that. I will, but we're going to break it down into 8 categories. Those categories are opening and setup, writing and dialogue, visual style and direction, pacing and engagement, the supporting cast, box office, emotional and cultural impact, and rewatch value. I think that's a good way to break down every single category of this film. You might be wondering, why don't you compare the leading actors? I compare these movies because I want to uplift each other. I'm not trying to cut anyone down. That's not my goal here. I just want to celebrate how cool film is and how fun it is. And we find our differences and what we like about each film. So if you're ready to dive into it, let's go. Opening and setup. Okay. Now, let's go through the opening of each film. Let's start with Superman. Superman starts with, you have all the text on screen talking about the metahumans. It has like the threes, like, okay, 3 decades ago, Superman came into this world as a baby. Then it's like, 3 hours ago, Superman like did something. Then 3 minutes ago, Superman lost his first battle, which is interesting. It's cool seeing like, okay, this is a vulnerable Superman. That's fun. I mean, one of the biggest problems for me about Superman is that he's like the most OP character of all time. Like he's literally just like, he can shoot lasers. He's indestructible. He's bulletproof. He can just fly into space. He can do whatever. He's super strong. Like, it gets annoying having to deal with that with Superman all the time, but it's cool that they address it literally right off the bat. And that was really cool for me. You get to see his little helpers and stuff out in Antarctica, which, like, I'm not a big Superman guy, but when I saw that, I'm like, oh, that's sweet. He's got this cool base and all these things. And it really just throws you right into the action. He's hurt. He gets healed by the sun. It addresses a lot of things right off the bat, like what type of character this is. Like, he is vulnerable. Like, he is going to have to go through some stuff. And this is like, it sets the tone a little bit. But for me personally, I was annoyed by this dog right off the bat. So you got old super dog coming in, and I didn't like every single scene with the dog. It just felt completely played out. Like, we get it, the dog's annoying, and I felt that right off the bat. I couldn't, like, he's like, oh, jumping around him and push on him, blah, blah, blah. It felt like that scene lasted like 5 minutes of him just trying to get the dog to do what he wants him to do. Like, this is the worst dog ever. Because one, he just doesn't listen to him. And also, this dog has superpowers. So that's kind of a problem. And that's kind of the whole thing with Superman. It's like, oh, this can just go unchecked for so long. But no one talks about the dog. I mean, this dog's just running around going crazy, and he's got all these superpowers. I digress. Then, moving into the opening scene of F1. I love the opening scene of F1. It was so good. Not only was the music really good in the opening scene, but you really get the setup of who this guy is. This is just a guy who loves racing. He's messing around with his cards. And then he goes out and he's doing the Daytona 24-hour race. And he's just such a stud. And then with the fireworks, the opening scene with the fireworks in F1 was unreal. All the fireworks going off on the racetrack. I honestly couldn't believe it. Like, it shows you right off the bat just how this movie is going to be filmed, how you are going to be in the heart of racing. And like it got my blood pumping. And to compare the two of them together, two very different opening scenes. One is a lot more vulnerable, one puts you right into the action. You catch the tail end of the Superman fight, and it felt like a lull for me. It started a little bit too soft. Yes, you jump right from him healing into the fight with Chekhov or whatever his name is, that armored guy, DC Iron Man, whatever. But I wasn't feeling it. It didn't have it for me. That opening scene of F1 has to take it for me. So, opening scene and setup, the winner of this category is F1. It's too easy for me to decide that one. F1 set up the stakes. It set up the character right away. Main character, you love him. Like he's kind of a dick, but you like that lovable asshole. I don't know, with Superman, it just didn't do it for me. Writing and dialogue. You have two very different movies. One, like Superman, that requires a lot of setup, a lot of exposition, which is a very difficult task to have in a movie, especially when it's a big IP like Superman. Then on the other hand, you have F1, where a lot of people, I'm guessing, going into this movie don't know jack about F1. Me included, knew absolutely nothing. Now, going into this movie, F1, I'm just like, oh, okay, cool. Seems like a high octane movie. Seems like a lot of fun. John Krasinski, he did Top Gun Maverick. So I'm into it. Superman, I have never really been a big Superman fan, but I do like superheroes. I like James Gunn. I like his style. But when it came to the writing and dialogue in both movies, they were wildly different. Like I said, two very different movies. So it's very hard to compare them. But when it comes down to it, you got to look for like, how was it balanced? Was everyone's dialogue, did it seem like it fit their character? All the dialogue in F1, there's a lot of technical jargon, but it came off very interesting. Like I wasn't ever lost with what they're talking about. And like I said, I know nothing about F1. I don't know much about racing either, but they have a lot of technical things that they talk about in this movie, but it wraps in with the visuals so well that you're almost like, yeah, I know F1. You leave that movie and you're like, yeah, I know everything about F1. I'm going to go home and watch it and act like I always have this entire time. And then in Superman, you have a lot of story that you have to pick up on. The backstory between Lois and him, and then the backstory between the Daily Planet and his job there. Then you have to deal with all the different superheroes, his relationship to Lex, and Lex's, all of his shit that he's got going on with Superman, how his company came up, Mr. Terrific, the Justice Gang, a Green Lantern, the Hawk Girl, and all these different characters. So much story that you have to build up, which is a very difficult task. And they did a very good job on it, but I got to give it to F1. Everything in F1 just felt so natural. Nothing felt forced. And it was just fun. And the banter back and forth, it didn't feel too forced. I mean, I will say this about Superman. They did a great job with all the exposition. But at the end of the day, it's like it felt too much like, oh, yep, it's a superhero movie. And so I'm just like, oh, witty banter. But if there's anyone who can deliver witty banter, it's Nate Fillion. That's like, that dude is insane. Him as Green Lantern was one of the best parts in the movie, and his dialogue was fantastic. So it was close, but I got to give this one to F1. Visual style and direction. Okay, this is one of the bigger categories for these two movies. Both movies were insane when it came to visuals. I mean, Superman was a classic James Gunn, but turned up to 11. I mean, it's like everything that he learned from all the Guardians movies, all of his work in the MCU, and now controlling the DCU, he did a fantastic job with Superman. The world is really fun. It's bright. It's colorful. It's cool. It's moved away from all the dark and moody DC past films. I liked it a lot. It was like it looked beautiful. And it had that James Gunn touch, which of course I would hope that it would have that. Otherwise, it's not a James Gunn movie. But he did a fantastic job of really tying that world together, making it look unique, but also a little familiar. Because I think it needed to move past that dark and gruffy past of past DC films. And it did a fantastic job. I love the look of Metropolis. It feels like something that you could live in, like you could just reach out and touch it. And all the action scenes were really well designed. All the character outfits, all the costuming was great. And when you compare that to F1, F1 is a completely different movie, so it's tough. I mean, F1 had amazing design. When you talk about all these races, all of these uh competitions that they're going through, and just like them in the simulator, all the different campuses that they're at, all the different racetracks, and just the design of the cars and how they shoot every single race. It had such a clear design aspect to it that I've never seen anything like it in a movie. The only thing I really could compare it to would probably be Top Gun Maverick, and that's also John Krasinski. So it's like he has his own clear cut style too. And then the way they decided to achieve that vision by putting all these cameras in the cars, it literally felt like you were inside the action every single time. And comparing that to Superman, where so much of that is shot on a blue screen, green screen, CGI, it's hard to really encapsulate that vision when you're doing all of that. But James Gunn did a fantastic job. So the winner for this one, I gotta make it a tie. I can't choose between these two. They both have such clear visions and they executed them perfectly. So I can't choose. On to the next. Pacing and engagement. Now, F1 had excellent pacing throughout the entire film. This movie was like 2.5 hours long. Yet, when you're sitting through that movie, going through every single race, they talk about 9 races to get a win. Now, that's 9 races is a lot to go through. Now, about 5 of those are a montage, but you don't even feel like you're sitting in a movie for 2.5 hours. That movie felt like maybe 45 minutes long. The pacing was so phenomenal in that. And then compared to Superman, Superman was dragging for me. Superman did a lot of things very well, but pacing was not one of them. I remember sitting in the movie, I I checked my watch during the middle of the movie, and I found like there were lulls in the film, like when he was locked inside the cage and thing with the dog and all this stuff. Because there was so much exposition going on in it, it just felt like there was a lull. And then everything back home with his family, that was pretty fast in the film, but it just felt like, okay, yeah, let's do it. Let's get back to the action. I was getting tired of sitting there in Kansas just waiting for Superman to get up and leave again. I know he had to heal and all this stuff. But even the fight scenes didn't feel very well paced out. This fight scene with Mr. Terrific, I thought was the best fight scene in the whole movie. The one with the final two bad people, I should probably know their names. I forgot them. But the final fight with the clone Superman and Little Miss Scissorhands lady, I didn't like the pacing of that one. It just felt like da 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 da. I It was hurting for me. That fight scene with Mr. Terrific, that being one take, and that was like a classic James Gunn thing. But I don't know about you guys. I'm kind of getting James Gunned out. And not like I love James Gunn. I love him. But like this almost felt like too James Gunn. It's getting that Wes Anderson thing where it's like, okay, we've seen what you can do. We've seen it many times before, but we're almost looking for something else. And when it comes to pacing, it was a very hard task for Superman, but they did a good job, but not as good as F1. So pacing, got to give it to F1. Supporting cast. Now, when it comes to both movies, the supporting cast of each film were insane. Let's run down Superman. Superman, you got obviously Lois, you got Homeboy at the Daily Planet, you got the Chief of the Daily Planet. Don't call him Chief. He may be the Chief, but it's not him. You have Lex Luthor's girlfriend. You have the Justice Gang, which was absolute scene stealers. Justice Gang was so phenomenal in this film. But one thing that lacked with the Justice Gang and every other supporting character in Superman, I did not give a shit about anyone. And maybe because it's a superhero film, but I don't want to lean too much on that because everything with the MCU, you cared about almost every single character. Like when Agent Coulson died, right in the heart, man. But it didn't feel like there were any stakes there in this movie. Like no one died. And then you have all the other workers at the Daily Planet where you're just like, who are these people? What are they doing here? I don't really know why they're in this ship. I don't even know their names, honestly. But everyone did a fantastic job in Superman. Every single character was either funny or engaging when they appeared on screen. But my personal problem is I don't really care about that. Now compare that to F1. Every single character in F1 I did care about, and they were very fun and interesting. One scene that really stood out to me was the pit crew girl. She messes up in one of the races and she slows down their pit speed. And later, Brad Pitt comes back and the other character's getting all pissed off at her. And then Brad Pitt comes up. He's like, hey, give her a break. Like, you did good. Don't worry about it. And then later, he's taking an ice bath. She pulls up and she's like, thank you for saying that, but don't ever do it again. It makes me look weak. And when I heard that, I'm like, go off, girl. Let's go. Yeah, tell him. And instantly from that point moving forward, I loved her character so much. And that was one thing that really stood out to me. Every single character I cared about, whether it was the leader of the crew, the coach, the owner, Javier Bardem. I mean, he's just so charismatic. So, like, you gotta love him anyway. I cared about every single character. And that's one thing that Superman didn't have. But on the other side of that coin, again, Superman had the Justice Gang, and they were absolutely scene stealers. And I will say that no one in F1 was a scene stealer like that. So I got to give this one to Superman. Great work, Superman. Great job, Justice Gang. It's a really cool name. Box office. You know, when it comes down to it, movies are all about making money. So if you want to make that guap, you got to look at the numbers. All right. Now, Superman hasn't been in theaters as long as F1, so we're just going to be talking about the opening weekend box office. Now, talking about F1, their opening weekend was 144 million, which is huge. That's insane, especially for the way movies have been going recently. That's nuts. And a lot of them were in the larger scale formats. Like we're talking about IMAX, we're talking about Dolby. That is the way to see a movie, honestly, especially for these two movies. I used to be like kind of an IMAX hater, but now I am on the train for IMAX. Watching F1 in IMAX was insane. So if you get a chance to see either one of these movies again, go back and watch it in IMAX. But let's look at the numbers for Superman. Superman had a $220 million opening. Sorry, F1. That's a little bit better. And I understand why. Superman is a huge IP. It has a big, it's had a following for so long. F1, like I was talking about earlier, I don't watch F1. I don't. I came there because John Krasinski, Brad Pitt, Carrie Condon, like she's awesome. I was actually just watching The Walking Dead recently, and she is in a couple episodes. And I was telling my wife, I'm like, yo, she's in F1. She's like, that's her? I'm like, yeah. But when it comes down to the numbers, Superman definitely takes the cake on opening weekend box office. And I don't blame people. Superman's a huge IP. I would want to go see Superman if I was a big superhero and Superman fan. I'm unfortunately not, but I think that's a good reason to compare these two movies because I was not a fan of F1 moving into this. I was not a fan of Superman moving into this. But the way it breaks down, Superman wins the box office. Emotional and cultural impact. Now, this one seems pretty obvious. When you have a movie like F1, it is an international sport that so many people love, and it's great. I am now into F1 after watching the movie. It really got my attention, it got my interest. Had my interest, but now you have my attention. Django, anyone? Django, thank you. But then when you're dealing with Superman, sorry, F1, Superman has like a few decades on you. It's been around for a very, very long time. And that comes with a lot of fans. It has a huge cultural impact. How many times have you gone to the gym and you've seen someone wearing a Superman t-shirt? Or you're just walking around seeing someone wearing a Superman outfit, and how big of an effect that has on things like Comic-Con. So many people dressing up as Superman. I'm about to be working at Comic-Con this year, and I can't wait to see all the Supermans that are there. I'm very excited. But F1, yeah, it's big around the world, but sorry, Superman's a superhero, and he has a way bigger cultural impact. So, got to give this one to Superman. So, I don't know if you've been keeping up with the scores, but we are currently sitting Superman 3, F1 3, and one tie in there. So, we got to have a tiebreaker. Rewatchability. That's a huge thing about movies. Whether you would go back to the theater or rent it at home or wait till it goes to streaming and then watch it again at home, that's the way movies operate nowadays. How many times can you watch it over and over and over again? There are some movies like The Incredibles, which I have seen probably like 20 times, probably 30. And that's the one thing that stands the test of time. How many times can you rewatch it? Now, it's difficult because when you have kind of a setup movie like Superman, but it has a huge cultural impact, did great at the box office, many people are going back to the theater to see it again. Comparing that to F1, I don't really hear about a lot of people going back and rewatching in the theaters, but this is my judgment, not yours. So I got to give this one to F1. I could watch that movie like 20 times. Like I said, the pacing of that movie is so good. I didn't even know the movie was over when it was over. And like there was a moment where I thought it was over. I'm like, what? No, it can't. It's only been like 20 minutes. But that was like an hour 45 into the movie. And I could have watched that for 5 hours. Superman, on the other hand, great movie. And everyone was very good in it. I saw it and then like that was it for me. I don't need to see it again. I'm not a Superman stan, and to all the Superman stans out there, keep on going to watch that movie. But I got to give this one to F1. It's so good. It's a great movie. So if you've been keeping track, that means F1 is our winner between the Superman and F1 showdown. Do I think Superman could kick Sonny Hayes' ass? Absolutely. But when it comes down to the movies as a whole, I just think F1 is the stronger movie that will stand the test of time and just stand out individually among all the other movies coming out. Superman has amazing legs, and people will be watching it for years to come. But this is my opinion. And between these two movies, my goal is not to pit them against each other in a fight for which one is just the better movie and you should only watch that one. Absolutely not. Both of these movies are amazing movies that I rank very highly on my list. And not only that, they're amazing people that worked on them that did a phenomenal job. Films need to be celebrated, and I love comparing them like this to see why we like each one better and which one did a little bit better than the others. But one thing that they truly succeeded on was captivating audiences worldwide. These are both amazing movies. Keep on going to see movies, guys. Like, that is the beauty of it, seeing it in theaters. Like, F1 would not be as good of a movie if I did not see it in IMAX. And the same goes for Superman. Go out to the theaters, watch movies, but if you have to pick one, I gotta say F1. Go get your F1 on, drive yourself to the theater, see it in the biggest screen possible, and go watch some more movies coming out. because the movie industry needs it right now. We need you and we love you. But thanks for watching, everyone. Later, y'all.
I'm good.